All right, so it's crunch time. This is the last video that I'm filming before going to New York for an in-person grad school term. So what I thought would be kind of fun today is to talk about all the different apps that I tend to use as an audio engineer. So I have an Android phone. Sorry, but I do. I have an Android phone. So some of these apps might be Android specific. Some of them are not. Some of them are available on both. But I'm going to talk about like the general types of apps as well that I tend to have. And I'm just going to kind of go through my phone and see what what pops up and which apps I think of as being related to my work and which ones I use for my work. So, by the way, hi, my name's Cato. I work full-time as an audio engineer and now music producer too. If you're curious about me and my experience, you can go to CatoNoise.com and there's more info there on why I'm qualified to talk about this stuff. Yeah, that's my little disclaimer. So the first thing that pops up is that I use the gstrings app. So it's just a tuning app. Kind of self-explanatory, right? You can tune an instrument really easily and quickly with one of these. I do prefer to use, like, for example, with guitars or ukulele, I prefer to use a clip-on tuner. I do have a few clip-on tuners in my studio, but sometimes you're stuck somewhere and you don't have one readily available. And so having a tuning app is a really, really great idea. And I like the G-Strings one. That's the one that I've been using. For better or for worse. I also have, let me try to find it here really quickly. I have an oscillator app. So the one that I have is called Frequency Generator, and the logo is just like a black logo with Hertz, so capital H and then lowercase z in yellow. But it's basically just an oscillator app, and you can choose what frequency you want it to be at, and then you just hit play and it'll play it for you. So, this one's kind of fun. To be honest, the thing that I use it for the most is putting it up to like 19,000 hertz and then checking that I can still hear that frequency. That's kind of the thing that I use it for the most. But it's there and I use it. Another one that I used to use all the time, especially when I was doing live sound professionally, was an RTA frequency analysis app. So I have this one that I'm using here. And it just kind of shows you in real time, right? Real time analysis. It shows you the frequencies that are in the space you're in. So this is great, for example, if you're just learning what the different frequencies sound like and you're trying to combat muddiness, for example, or combat feedback that keeps happening, you can pull out an app like this and it might help you figure it out. And this one is, let's see what this one is. This is the RTA Audio Analyzer by Radon Soft. I'll put links to all these in the description. I also have the Perfect Piano app. It's just a little piano keyboard. So you can play notes. And that can help, singers, stuff like that, if you're trying to figure out an idea with someone. A lot of times I'm here in the studio, so I have an actual physical MIDI keyboard that I'll use instead. But this is great if you just really quickly need a note or need to hit a note to figure something out. You don't have to then like open an instrument track and assign an instrument to your MIDI keyboard, for example. Kind of the same way like reaching over and using the piano is, right? But I have it on my phone, and I think this one's free too. Most of my apps are free. The next one that I would recommend is having some kind of voice memo or voice recorder app. I use the voice recorder here. It just has like a red icon, and it just allows you to record little memos. So this is great if you get like musical ideas or melodies or whatever and you want to record it, then you can have like a more concrete idea of what was in your head compared to like if you tried to write it down. So voice recorder app, totally recommend. I think most phones just come with one now, so you don't really have to like go out and find one necessarily. But there are different apps with different options for you. So some of them allow you to have like higher quality audio files, like WAV files and different sample rates and stuff. So I would check that out depending on what you're interested in using it for. I have had students do little like field recording exercises with this type of app before because we don't have access to field recording devices for everyone to use all at once. So you can do a lot with it, it's kind of cool. Okay, and then the other one that I wanted to include, because I do use this while working a lot, is I use a notes app called Inkpad. You can use any notes app, but basically I create a new note for each mix that I'm working on. And so, for example, if I'm listening down in the house or in the car, and I have a thought about how I want to change the mix, I will write a note down in my notes app to then, synchronize with my computer later and make the changes in the mix, right? And so I'll do that even if I'm out and I have a quick listen to something. Um, and I do that kind of frequently because it's good to listen when you have a fresh ear, when you're in a different context, because it'll affect you differently and you'll be more likely to notice different things depending on where you are and what have you. I guess I could count Google Calendar as one of my apps that I use for work because I put everything on the calendar and I like block off time for the different projects that I'm working on. I don't need to go into that a whole ton, but like I would count Google Calendar as one of my apps that I use for work as an audio engineer. Another thing that I do use for my work is Discord, and that's because I'm on a few communities that are, music production, audio engineering oriented, and people will share mixes with each other for feedback. And one of the things that I use them for is sharing mixes for feedback too. It can be very, very valuable and very helpful. So I do recommend getting on a few Discords. It's a great way to get a little bit more of a personal community that's all about whatever you're interested in. And it doesn't have to be mine. I have one on my Patreon, but it doesn't have to be mine. I've found other people's Discords to be super valuable to getting feedback and thoughts and, conversations about some of the nerdier stuff and all that stuff. And then obviously things like Spotify and SoundCloud, any of the streaming apps for streaming music, that can come up during work, right? So I would put those on a list of apps that I use frequently as an audio engineer. Another thing is like gear sales apps like Reverb. I go on Reverb a lot and look for things. You can get some good deals, get some, a lot of times it's used equipment, but you can get a really good deal on used equipment. And I've had really good luck with ordering things that are in good condition and having them actually arrive in good condition. So things like Reverb, I would definitely put on my list. I think also things like Eventbrite and ticketing apps, I would maybe count as apps that I use for work. Things like Eventbrite, oftentimes like clients will have events on there and I'll get tickets and go. And that's part of the whole, I guess it's networking thing, like being around socially. That helps with anything music industry. It's a very social industry, like a lot of industries. I mean, are we really that special? I don't know. I guess you could put Shazam on the list. I've had clients want to Shazam things before. So I guess you could put that on there. I actually don't have that app though, but that was just a thought that I had was using the Shazam app. Oh, you know what's another one right here, the RCC Calculator. I have this app. It's called RCC Calculator, and it just helps you calculate how much resistance a resistor has. And so you just kind of input the color bands and it'll tell you how much resistance it has. So you don't have to actually do the math. When I did the electronics technician degree a while back, we had to learn how to do it by hand and like actually look up on the chart the different colors and stuff. And it just takes so long. And so what I did was partway through that degree, I got this app and I stopped doing the math. For better or for worse, but it's a lot faster. If you're, modifying audio equipment or working with audio equipment, you might at some point want to use one of these. So I was pretty happy to find this app. The other thing that I do with resistors to kind of like go on a tangent here is sometimes it can be really hard to see what the colored bands are, but if you use your phone and take a photo of it and then you zoom in on the photo, then you can often see what the colored bands are. So if you're having trouble seeing those, try that trick. It helps so much. My vision is awful. But I'm not that old, I don't think. I'm starting to feel kind of old, but like it can be very hard to see, especially nowadays. They have like resistors that are tiny, tiny, tiny. So yeah, it's called the RCC Calculator. Another obvious thing for, if you're working as an audio engineer, music producer is having payment apps like Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, stuff like that. Lots of people want to pay that way. Kind of self-explanatory. I don't know. I don't even know if I have to include that one. The other thing is some kind of cloud storage. So I have Box and Google Drive, and I also back up data to hard drives. But it's great to have these cloud data storage systems because it's another backup. If you don't have your sessions backed up to multiple locations, they are not safe and they can't all be in the same room on multiple hard drives, right? You want to have them on different locations. So, yeah, I use Google Drive all the time. That's the one that I use the most for cloud storage. And then I also sometimes will share a client's folder with a client. So that way I don't have to like separately transfer their files via WeTransfer. I can just be like, hey, a new version of the mix is up on the Google Drive. And I just teach them how to find it in my bounced files folder. And that makes it a lot easier for me. They then, have access to their whole folder. If they want to make backups or what have you, it's there. So some kind of cloud storage app I would recommend having and using. And that makes it really easy too, having the actual app and not just having the account online. But having the actual app makes it really easy for checking mixes in the car and stuff like that because it's there. It's on my phone. I just have to open it. I upload the mix via Google Drive and then I can open it up on my phone really quickly. And then I can listen in the car or on my headphones or on my Bluetooth speaker or, wherever I feel like. Okay, I think I only have a couple more that I want to mention. One is having the NAMM app. If you go to NAMM, the app is very helpful for planning your day, planning your schedule. It only comes up like once a year, right? But I've been pretty happy having the app. It's not like the best app ever, but it does help improve your show experience. So there is a NAMM app. The other thing is the Spotify Artists app. So there is a Spotify Artists app, and it lets you kind of just see your stats, see everything a lot faster. It's kind of fun to look at, check it out, So if you're someone that uses Spotify and if you're someone that uploads your music to Spotify, then I would recommend not only having the Spotify app, but having the Spotify Artists app. And, I know there's a lot to be said about streaming and what it's doing to the industry, and it can really suck, but I still have the app. Okay. I think that's basically it. The only other thing that I can think of is like food delivery apps like DoorDash, Uber Eats, stuff like that, because you do not want to be working on music hungry. I know some people might like to do that. I have met a few people that are okay with doing that or actively like to do that. But most people, I think, do not work well when they're hungry. So you got to give your body fuel to keep going. And I know it's not really related to audio engineering, but it is an app that I use during my work. So, and it helps support my work, really, is what it is. So, yeah, make sure you feed yourself. I know, like for me, and I know this, it's not just me, right? But for a lot of us, it's like we get so sucked into what we're working on because we're really into it. Like we love what we're doing, right? And you get really sucked in, and then all of a sudden it's like 8 hours passed and you haven't eaten, you have a headache, and it's like, and then you're useless, So feed yourself in the studio. So I think that's it. Let me know what apps you use for music production, audio engineering stuff, what you found helpful, what you found useful. I know there are some other apps out there that I haven't tried, like apps that help you keep track of, credits for an album, for example. I think I kind of want to try one of those maybe. That would be good because you definitely need to write down your credits as you go. If you want to be a good person, I guess, is what it really is. But yeah, let me know what apps you're using in the comments below. As always, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'd appreciate all of that stuff. I do have a Patreon, so it's patreon.com/CatoNoise, and we have a Discord server we're hanging out on. We have early release videos, additional content, stuff like that. I think you can join for as little as $1 a month, so please check that out if you feel so inclined. It helps support my channel, my little channel. So other than that, I come out with new videos every Wednesday, and thank you so much for hanging out. Okay. Gosh, can I sort this alphabetically? Sort. Yeah, I can. So if you're having trouble with that, try that. Okay, so I think this is the last video that I'll be filming before going to New York for my in-person grad school term in July. So I hope it didn't feel too rushed or haphazard or chaos. But I don't know. I just did a couple of brain dump videos in a row to get them out there. But I don't know. I think sometimes it helps to kind of just for it to feel like you're just chatting with someone about their work, right? And what they find interesting and useful and what they've learned. That's all I'm trying to do. Just kind of share what I've learned. I don't know all the answers, but here I am. Okay. Bye.